right, so we're back again.
We have returned.
We have returned, which is really exciting because the last podcast we just did, basically it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, we did not envision getting into everything that we did. It was like trying to answer some of your questions that came in through our platforms to basically being like, you know what, let's just start from the beginning of our love story and just kind of go through everything. So where we left off was finally welcoming our first take-home baby after an incredible battle with fertility to stillbirth to a late miscarriage, and we had our Juliet Hope. So I think I want to back up during that pregnancy. I did say it was very uneventful, and it was very uneventful. Like it was a really smooth,
pretty quiet,
great pregnancy. I did develop pain. And the pain I had was kind of around my gallbladder area, which we now know was actually the start
coincidentally where the liver is found.
Where your liver is found. And nobody clued in that it was actually, that was tumors at the time. But so that was 10 years ago, friends. Like it's been a long time. So during that pregnancy, I did go to my doctor and said, hey, I have this really weird pain right here. We talked about it. We didn't know what it was. They sent me for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound came back saying, you know, gallbladder looks good.
Did it pick up a hemangioma?
That was
did
a
they see
hemangioma.
at that time?
It was a hemangioma on my liver. And they were like, shouldn't be the reason for the pain. Lots of people have them. It's usually just a blood-filled cyst. Totally benign, not an issue.
Yep.
But let's welcome this baby when the baby comes. And if the pain is still there, it could be you're in pain because you have a big baby in there. Like she was a big baby. We grew our babies very large.
Yes.
After... I did. But after Gabriel being so small and having in uterine growth restriction for the placenta insufficiency, every baby after that was like ginormous.
Honking, yeah.
So when Juliet was born at 36 weeks, she was like 7'12" or something like that at 36 weeks. Like it was just, it was amazing. So anyways, when she was born, we were so thrilled. We were so thrilled. She was our shortest NICU baby, or Hatton was actually. So she was about almost 2 weeks, and we got home and
it felt like an eternity at the time though. Like you say shortest now, and like yes, not she wasn't the shortest, but like a very short period of time.
Yeah.
But it felt like, to me, it felt like an eternity.
I know.
Mostly because you couldn't be as involved as you wanted to be. Like you were kind of stuck in the room, and she was over there with like her legs all splayed out. And,
yeah. So when she was breech in my belly, she was what they call frank breech. So she came out with one leg up here and one leg like behind her.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was kind of spooky.
It was, and we actually had to go to baby physio. We did baby physio for almost 6 months, and she's still super flexible to this day.
Yep.
And I think it's because of her hips and the way she was born. But they even thought her hips were broken. We had to do baby x-rays. We had to do all these little things with her. But in the end, she was totally, totally fine.
Yeah, so circling back, it seemed longer than it actually was now in hindsight.
Yeah.
Just because like you couldn't be involved, and I wasn't, I don't know, I just wasn't as up to the task as I would be now.
Yeah.
As I would be now.
Yeah, I think one of my best memories of having her and being in the hospital was when my milk finally came in. And it was like probably the day before it was coming in, I was pumping, and it was just basically pumping air. And I would get like maybe droplets of breast milk. And you were so determined that you would take the syringe. Do you remember that? With the needle on the syringe to suck it up in order to get that. And the nurses at the nurses station were just laughing.
Yeah, they're pretty impressed.
They were like, wow, this dad is dedicated. He is determined.
Yeah.
And
well, I knew how much it meant to you. So
it did. It meant the world to me.
Yeah,
so.
Like every half mil was critical.
Yeah, it was. But we went home, and we settled into our home with her, and we just dove straight in to being mom and dad. Yeah. And it was a dream. And we only lasted at home for a few months until you decided to just change our entire world, Ty.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I couldn't find work teaching on PEI, and we had a friend in Yellowknife who said that teaching in Yellowknife was amazing.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself to tell you that we were going to Yellowknife.
You did. You were like, yeah, we're going to all go in like 2 months. And I looked at you and I was like, no. Like, no. Like, I finally felt settled in our life, that we finally had everything we ever dreamed of. And I just wanted to settle down with Juliet and just be a family in the home that we were in, because your family was there, my family was there, and it just, in my eyes, felt like everything we've dreamed of is here. And now we're just going to uproot us and change everything. And I had found a secured permanent job. At that point, I was working for almost 4 or 5 years of my career and loving it and had a great job. But again, back in those times, being a teacher on the island was extremely difficult. There was people who had graduated for 5, 10 plus years, still were not able to secure employment. So after some convincing, obviously we weren't going to end our relationship. Like, it was like, how are we going to make this work? And we compromised. And I said, I will go to Yellowknife, Northwest Territories with you, with Juliet. We'll go as a family for the rest of my maternity leave. Because it seemed like it was the best opportunity to do this, because I didn't have to take a leave of absence from work.
You had nowhere to be, yeah.
I had nowhere to be, but to be mom, and I could be mom as long as I had my daughter anywhere in the world.
Yep.
And with you as a family. And so we sold our home, packed everything up, but I was like, we're taking her whole nursery with us. Because I had worked so hard on her nursery. I made everything in her room, and so we packed everything up and we went to Northwest Territories.
Yep.
And I went kicking and screaming, and you went with an excited, hopeful heart. We did not have work. We went there with 0 work, knowing that you could have substitute teaching again, potentially. But it was a big gamble.
Yeah, I think I remember during that period of time when we were on PEI, before we decided that we were going to actually go and try. I think I'd applied to 40 jobs.
Yeah.
I remember the number being 40, and I didn't get one interview.
Yeah.
And I remember when we arrived in Yellowknife, I had an interview in 4 days.
You did.
Yeah, so it was a really strange time for me, because there was a part of me that knew what I was doing was cruel or making life difficult for us. But there was another part of me that, I don't know if I just knew it was going to work out, or I just had a feeling, I guess, that no, this is what has to happen, and this is an adventure, and it's up to you to prove that it's going to be the right choice. And that's I think there's periods in everyone's life where you have big leaps of faith, and you have or a big project that you want to do, and it's up to you once things change from becoming an idea to reality. Then there's a huge risk involved, but there's also a huge, I don't want to say payoff because that seems selfish, but there's a huge reinforcement that you can get.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've only received a more potent reinforcement outside of Yellowknife being a success. The other only one that I had that matched it at all was when I started to exercise, and the reinforcement I got from there. And we've talked about that before on the podcast, how that was kind of pernicious in a way, and still lives with me. Whether or not it's good or bad, we don't know. And I'm still trying to walk with that. But I've never been more reinforced that you took a risk and you have been vindicated to myself. You know what I mean? And anyway, so yeah, it was a very weird time for me, because I don't like confrontation, and I was putting our entire family in danger's way.
Yeah, it was scary.
It could have blown up in our face big time.
Totally. And it was terrifying, but I knew that I went to Korea kind of kicking and screaming, didn't want to do that, and it was one of the best years. Yeah. It was so much fun. I also had reassurance because I had a friend. We had a mutual friend.
God, we need to go back to Korea.
Yeah.
It's such different circumstances now, because neither of us party. But sorry, and I'll let you get back to Jan in a sec. But I know that there's a whole other side of it that we didn't experience, because we were just spent the whole time being drunk and partying.
We did not.
I guess it wasn't the whole time, but being kids and having fun and just going doing fun stuff. I bet you there's a whole bunch of monotonous stuff. We didn't go to palaces. And we didn't go to major landmarks. We never went to Seoul Tower. That's where K-pop Demon Hunters is set, basically. There's so many cool monotonous things that we didn't do that I cannot wait until we go back, because it'll be so much fun. We've already experienced that other side of it, and now it's going to be cool to see all the monotonous stuff. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jana.
No worries. No worries. I love that though. But yeah, Jana was mutual friends that we had worked with her at Boston Pizza, and we adored her so much. And I knew getting there, I was like, okay, Jana's going to be there. Like she's going to hold our hand through this.
Yeah.
And we are going to create a life in this new place. And Jana's going to be a part of it. It's going to be great.
That was probably a huge feeling of safety for you.
It
because like we loved Jana.
It really was.
Still love Jana.
And then we also had some childhood people that attended our school. Like we had Alana and Heather. And
yeah.
There was quite a few people from our island that were settled
Yeah, it
there.
wasn't a huge mystery that we're going to like, we're going
like Korea. Same idea.
Like we know nobody. They don't speak the language. Like you don't have jobs.
No, it was different. And we just settled in very quickly. So
I wonder why that happened. Like, I was surprised at you, really, honestly, because I went there.
I had everything I ever needed.
I know, and then you went there, and then
you. No, I mean in Yellowknife.
Oh, okay.
I was settled because I finally had my daughter that I dreamed of, a take-home baby to care for.
That's all you ever needed.
And I had a husband that was working a Monday to Friday job, and we got to play house again.
Right, yeah.
Like we got to have supper together. We got to have breakfast, see you off.
Yeah,
we
that
got
was
to
cool.
welcome you home for supper.
That was awesome.
Do bedtime routine together because you were working as a bartender when Juliet was born.
Yeah.
You were gone.
I was
every
gone.
night.
Like I would
5 nights a week.
5 nights a week, and then 3 of those days I would probably sub. So I would go from like wherever I was subbing, drive home, get dressed, and go to work.
Yeah.
That sucked. Like that's and like
people are still doing it in this world to this day.
That's right. Yeah, and like God bless the people that are able to do that. Like we need shift workers and all that kind of stuff. But like that was
it's hard.
That was hard. Yeah, and maybe that was like what kind of facilitated.
So
I was
for
like,
me,
let's get the hell out of here for now.
It was look at this family. Like I have a family life here, and I loved it. So I continued on my maternity leave. You got your first job within like 2 weeks.
Yeah, where
around
was it
there?
first?
Welladay.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Welladay Catholic School.
Welladay Catholic School, and you taught there. You were super excited. That went so well, and then I ended up was like, I need to like do something.
Get out and get going.
And so I signed up for swimming lessons with Juliet, and it was like minus 50 degrees Celsius, and I was like,
yeah, we moved there in January.
Yeah, the coldest
Moving to
time.
January in Yellowknife.
Yeah.
It's not going to get worse when it's darkness and cold.
Yeah.
So like, if you can make it in the dead of winter, then
There's
like
probably,
you're probably gonna like it.
How many, like 5-6 hours of sunlight, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then the northern lights were incredible. Like that was our first or second
Yeah,
night
that
we
was
saw
pretty cool.
those. They'd be your bed lights or your night light when you're sleeping at night. It was incredible. So, you know, we really loved it. And I think we were only 4 months in, and we found this house online that was a mutual friend of Jana, our good friend, and she was selling her home, and we looked at it, and it was in a beautiful family subdivision because we had sublet an apartment when we were first there. And we were like, let's do this. And didn't want to tell our family because we knew they were going to be devastated.
Yeah.
But we bought it. We were
Yeah, that's
settled. We
quite
were
something.
both committed. And then I started being like, okay, I got to tell my work. And they had agreed to give me, at that point, a 2-year leave of absence. We accepted that. And I started applying for jobs. So it was my first job I got in the north was a school counselor. And I loved it. I loved being amongst the kids and the students there. And it was amazing. And then we had to find a day home for Juliet. And it was so nerve-wracking because I was giving my baby to somebody who I probably borderline had attachment issues. We never even went on a date. The first date we went on, I think she was over a year,
Yeah,
where I
can't
left
even
her
remember.
for the first time. Jeff, Jana's husband, babysat for
Yes,
me.
that's right. Where did we go? Boston Pizza? Can't remember.
I don't even know. We went to like I don't even know where we went. It was like a hot pot or something somewhere.
Yes, it was. There was I can't remember what it's over by the Black Knight. I don't know if it's still there or not.
I don't think so. We never went back there again, but it was
right,
good.
I'm
It
just
was
gonna adjust
delicious.
you.
But anyways, I got a job. We found a day home with Aida, and she was amazing, and she welcomed her, and she became like
Amazing.
our Yellowknife mom. It felt
Yeah.
like she was so good to us. So yeah, I think during that first year, I still had that pain. And it would kind of come and go, and we would talk about it, and we found family doctors, and I started working with them to say I have this pain, and they had read the ultrasound that I had when I was pregnant with Juliet, and they said, you know what, it actually says we should follow up an ultrasound in 1 year's time, so let's do that. So exactly 1 year later, I had an ultrasound again, and the hemangioma looked the exact same. They couldn't find anything with the gallbladder either. They were like, this is just random.
Your life.
Your blood work looks amazing. You were like healthy as a horse. You're good to go. So we just continued on in our life. And then we decided that Juliet had given us the courage and the bravery and the hope to expand our family again. And it was like a really big deal because we were terrified that we would experience another loss, and I didn't know how my heart would be able to handle that, but she was living proof that we could have
we
a
pulled it
take-home
off.
baby.
Like, this is possible.
Yeah. So I remember going to my doctor in Yellowknife and saying, like, I know my cocktail of drugs that my fertility doctors had given me. And I said, would you be able to prescribe them? Can we get this process started? And that's when we met with Dr. Kataska, the OB, and we got our cocktail of meds and we got pregnant.
We missed something, I think, last episode, and I don't know if it's around this time as well, but I remember, do you remember when we went to the ARC clinic?
Yeah, the fertility clinic.
That that was a big moment for me, and I think probably you, when you know, we had gotten some guidance that like you can't take that medication for very long, and then we went to see this
It was
other
like
guy.
3 strikes, you're out kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like if you can't get pregnant after 3 rounds of using this medication, then you can no longer take it. And we're like, that was like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was? Like, was that before Juliet was born, or?
Yeah, that was before we got pregnant with Gabriel.
Okay, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's
okay.
a long time ago.
Anyway, so like that was incredible. Like that was a huge moment. And
But I think it just goes to show too, research is also changing too, right? And so that was like 4-year difference, almost 5-year difference between Gabriel and Adeline.
Yeah.
And so who knows if that would have changed, or it was just this doctor. He was so educated. He was so smart.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
I can't remember what his name is, but
Dr. Kataska.
no, I'm talking about the one in the air clinic.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Can't even remember his name, but so we were going in there like hoping that he might like suggest something else. I was like, no, take it again, take as long as you want.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was great.
okay, great, yeah, and then because essentially that led to us having a family.
Yeah, because we had to keep going. We
Sorry, I'm
needed
adjusting
way
here a
more
lot.
rounds. I think we.
Yeah, way more
took-
rounds, way more rounds.
No, I think it was 8 or 9 months when we found that particular cocktail of drugs. Like it took a long time for the first.
Anyway,
time,
so
but-
like when you met with Kataska, like
Yeah.
you kind of brought that information, and that was a cool moment too.
It was. So we got pregnant kind of right away, I think. With
Yeah, it seemed a
Adeline.
little too easy.
It did.
Yeah.
But it didn't go well at the start because I had went through fertility meds, they wanted to monitor blood work and kind of see my beta and watch how that was going up. And it wasn't doubling. It wasn't doing what it wanted to do. So they kept preparing me for a miscarriage. I remember your dad was there visiting at the time. And I was like going through this being like, I'm just waiting to miscarry at this point. And he just kept saying like keep having the hope, like just, you know, keep believing, keep going. And
Very faith-based guy, so.
and thankfully, you know, it's stuck and she's here. But the pregnancy,
Pretty routine.
very routine, you know. It was not. It was probably, it wasn't even the wildest one, or it's happened more wild. I don't even know who was more wild. It was.
I look back at that episode, and that was something else, man.
Yeah.
And like we said before, you know, if you have one of these episodes, it's like, okay, wow, they've had their
They've
go
had
of
luck.
it.
Yeah.
Holy jumpins. And then when this one happened, I was like, what
Why is
is
this
at
happening?
play here? Like, what is going on?
Okay, so let me just kind of
Go ahead,
let everybody
darling.
in on this.
Go
one
ahead,
as
darling.
to what had happened. So I was enjoying my job as a school counselor. I was at a school with junior kindergarten to grade 8, and I was assigned duty. I was outside at recess. There was a bunch of boys playing basketball, and it got a little rough, and they were kind of like pushing each other around, and I got right in there, and I had my big old belly. I was 29 weeks pregnant, and I was like, boys, like, we can't do this, like, hands to yourselves, let's stop. And I remember feeling that the moment when I did that, like, ooh, I'm like, slow down, like, you're a pregnant woman here, like,
Yeah.
you gotta guard yourself a little bit, because I got right in there with the boys. And they listened to me. They were very, very well respected to me, and I enjoyed that, and I had a great relationship with them. So they all backed off, but I remember feeling different and being like, ooh, okay. And so I remember going to my principal and saying, okay, I'm not feeling 100%. I think I'm going to go home and lay down. And I did that. And I had told you, and you were teaching at your school. And I said, can you pick up Juliet on the way home? And you did that. And at home that whole night, I kept feeling like Braxton Hicks. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm only 29, almost 30 weeks. This is too early for this. Like, this is not really normal, but you know what? I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm gonna sleep it off. I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I'm gonna feel so much better. So we get Juliet settled in bed. She goes to sleep. We hop into bed. And I think it was around like 10 o'clock. I'm looking at my watch. And at this point, they're 2 minutes apart. And I looked at you and I was like, I don't think these are Braxton Hicks. I think we have a problem here. And because...
Were you scared at that time?
I was more like, I think I was more annoyed at the start, being like, let's just make this stop.
What are you
like,
doing?
it's not time. Like, it's just like, let's just stop this, whatever's happening. I don't think I had the fear until I got to the hospital. And so because we're in Yellowknife, it's what, like a 2-minute drive to the hospital. It's very, very close. I had said, I'll just drive myself. Like, I drove myself when I was in labor with Juliet. I could drive myself again. Like, I'll be okay. So drove myself, got to the hospital, and my good friend Heather was working. Thank goodness. Like, that again, she wasn't just working, she was put there to work that night. And she welcomed me. She was a labor and delivery nurse. She welcomed me, got me checked in. And they were like, oh yes, you are in full-blown labor. And I'm like, I am 29 weeks. Like, this cannot be happening. And then they were the ones to be like, yeah, we don't deliver 29-week babies here. And I'm like, well, where do you go? This is the only hospital in Northwest Territories, like the actual, in Yellowknife. And they said, we're calling the medevac right now. And we're going to get you on your own private plane and we're going to fly you to Edmonton, which is like 1,000 miles away. It's a 2-hour flight away. And I was like, what is happening? Like, what? Like, no, like this, nope, this is my home. My daughter's in bed sleeping. My husband's at home right now. He has no idea what's happening. Like, no. So we call you and we tell you. And then I was like, I need you to come to the hospital. Like, I need to just kiss you goodbye. Like, this is all happening so fast. And so Heather and I and you started calling everybody we knew in Yellowknife.
In the middle of the night too, right?
In the middle of the night to come and take care of Juliet so you could at least come to the hospital, give me a hug. I don't know why we didn't just wake her up and bring her, but she was only like 2 years old. And so I ended up, I think we got a hold of Kate, Mama Kate.
That's right.
Yeah, and Kate answered, because everyone in the middle of the night turns their cell phones off. Like, nobody has their phone ringer on, right?
Yeah.
So Kate finally answered. I told her what was going on. She's like, I'll be right there. She went and sat with Juliet. You came to the hospital, kissed you, hugged you, and then they got me strapped into the stretcher, and I was sent in the ambulance to the airplane. And I just had to go by myself. We didn't know if she was going to be born on the plane, because that was a next level pain, was laboring with contractions 2 minutes apart on a stretcher in an airplane.
Good times.
That is the size of from you to me. Like, it was wild. So Kate actually ended up, while she was there, she got to work, that girl, and she had packed you a bag, Juliet a bag, and Heather booked you and Juliet a flight. She even did that as my labor delivery nurse. And by the time I took off, by the time I landed in Yellowknife, you were just taking off, and I was able to text you. Or sorry, yeah, I was landing in Edmonton. You were taking off in Yellowknife, and I was able to text you, baby still in. So I labored that whole 2-hour flight. The pilots were like right beside me, and there's one flight nurse. 2 pilots, 1 flight nurse, an incubator in case she was born, and my stretcher. And I remember the only thing I kept fixating on was I didn't have a name picked out yet. We had names that we liked, but we didn't really settle on a name. And so the pilots, because they're like right behind my head, we're so close to each other, they were even like trying to keep me calm and like talk to me. And this one pilot was like, what about Amelia? After Amelia Earhart, the first female pilot. And I was like, if she is born on this plane,
Amelia,
that is a perfect name.
Yeah.
So we had a really good giggle, and they were amazing at their job. Like, so good at their job. That flight nurse, like that's all he does is fly in for emergencies and fly people out of the north. Like it was amazing. But it's really sad to share this part of the story, but that pilot who gave me the name Amelia had died 2 years later in a plane crash on his way on a medevac to pick up someone in the north.
One of the communities. Yeah.
One of the communities. And so I always share that part of the story when I'm in my keynotes. I'll always add that part in if that keynote is on that subject, because it's important to keep his memory alive, because he was amazing at what he did. Like he kept me calm while safely bringing me to my destination. Like it was
People don't realize how I don't want to say how common, but downed planes in the north.
Oh my goodness, it is common,
happens.
unfortunately.
It happens.
It's quite often. It's very sad. So it was very scary. But I landed and she was still in, and that's all that mattered. And I knew that like it's still an hour and a little bit of a drive from the airport to the hospital. But I was like, we're so close that someone can save her, because she was so little. Like she was, I was only 29, just getting ready to be 30 weeks. And that I'd be at a level 3 NICU that could support her. So I got settled in that hospital, and she didn't come out. They were able to stop my labor, which was amazing, with some meds. We, got her lung development shots as well over the 2 days, and we were prepared if she did come. But you and Juliet arrived. I called my mom and was like, "Mommy, I need you." You guys know Nana Sue, and my mom flew from PEI to Edmonton all by herself,
in the middle of the
literally like right away.
Did you call her before you left Yellowknife?
I did, and gave her the heads up, and then she called her sister Di, and they were like figuring out how to book her flight and like get going. And
when did she come? Like that day, like that moment?
I think it was
wasn't
like that right after you did. It was later that night.
Yeah.
Because you and Juliet arrived. We all kind of finally got to have a little sleep because we were all exhausted from the evening. And then my mom arrived and took Juliet back to an Airbnb, and you stayed in the hospital with me because later that night I went back into active labor again.
Right.
So I stayed at Edmonton Hospital for almost 2 months. Adeline stayed in. I was on strict bed rest, and you had to go back to work. And Juliet had to go back to real life. She couldn't just sit in Edmonton Hospital and just sit with me in my little tiny hospital room. It wasn't a reality. And
so this is the underbelly of living in a place where you don't have a whole, like we have friend support, which can feel like family at that time, but like it's not the same as familial support.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that it's worse. It's just the fact of the matter. It's like you're kind of on your own. So that's a part that I actively ignored because I wanted it to work so bad, and all of these things reinforced that decision that we had made to go.
Yeah.
And so things that come into your orbit that are difficulties that shine a light on, oh, well, what about this part of your whole adventure? And it's just like, no. Yeah. You just like forge forward and try and muscle your way through any difficulties, right?
Totally. But we needed my mom there, and we were so lucky that she stayed with me. So you and Juliet left, and I can remember that was like one of the hardest days of my life.
Yeah, that was tough for you.
Because again, potential attachment issues, never left her, thinking you were going to have to care for her for who knows how long. But also, you might miss the birth of Adeline.
Yep.
How is this birth going to go? How is this delivery going to go? Because we had some trauma with Juliet's because she came out not breathing, had to be worked on for a while in the NICU.
Yep.
This is a baby that's way younger in gestation.
Yep.
How is this actually going to go? But you had to go back to work. She had to go and go with you. And so the two of you left, and I hugged you guys goodbye, and we didn't know when I'd see you again, what the plan was. And then my mom just was like, I'm staying here until you need me to. Like, she's amazing.
Yep.
And I was on bed rest, strict bed rest, because anytime I moved, I was diagnosed with irritable uterus. And anytime I moved, I would go into labor. My cervix wouldn't dilate, but it would give me contractions. So I would contract anywhere between 4 to 10 times an hour the whole time. And I made it to, she was not born until 37 weeks, which is amazing. But during those weeks, I kind of figured out what would put me in active labor. We went back and forth, I think, multiple times thinking it was a real deal. To the actual labor room, like pushing, and not pushing, but like this is happening, monitoring quite closely. But I eventually was discharged to a nearby Airbnb. And the hospital staff, there was nursing staff, came and did NSTs at my home. They would come and visit with me for 3 hours a day. And it was amazing, like, to have that. So then you and Juliet got to fly back a little more regularly then, because we had an Airbnb, we had a place for you guys to stay as well. And I got to be mom because I missed that so much. And then every time you'd leave, I'd be like, I can't believe you're leaving again. It'd be like, it would go through that heartache again. And I remember it was my birthday coming up. And I looked at my mom and I looked at you and I said, I want to be with her so bad that I'm willing to risk keeping Juliet here, Ty, you flying back, going to work, and Mom, you care for Juliet if you can. And if I go into labor, I will go in a taxi by myself or an ambulance by myself, and I will deliver my baby by myself because I needed Juliet. Like, I needed her because it was weighing on my heart so much. I missed her so much. And you guys thought I was crazy, but I get what I want most of the time.
Yeah, when you're determined. Like,
I was showing you the reasons why, and it made sense.
Yeah, but when you're determined, there's like a look in your eye where you say that you're going to do something, or you say that you need something, and I just realized not to get out of the way, but like to be like, nope, this is what she needs.
Yeah. I needed it so bad. And it was the same time my sister was actually coming to fly up. My sister, who's terrified to fly, and my nieces that she flew across Canada. This is from PEI to Edmonton, Alberta. This is like 2 to 3 plane rides. Like it is a long commute. And they came to be with us too. And it was amazing. It helped my spirits so much. So in the end, the doctor had come in and said, you can go home. That your baby is far along in the gestation that if you were to deliver, Yellowknife is equipped to care for this baby. And so we were super excited. And she said, unfortunately, there's no medevac scheduled to take you back because there's a long wait of people trying to get back north. So we're just going to have to wait. And it could take up to like 6 or 7 days. And I was like, no, I am not waiting 6 or 7 days. Absolutely not. I am flying WestJet. I am flying commercial. Let's do this. And she was like, you haven't sat up in a sitting position. You haven't really been able to do that without being, in active labor. I'm like, it's a 2-hour flight. It's a 2-hour flight. I'll close my legs really tight. I got this. So I think I had to prove to her for like a couple days that like I was okay to do this. And she signed the paperwork. And my mom was not okay with that decision. She was terrified. But my mom and I hopped on a commercial flight and I sat there and I was large and in charge. When I am pregnant, I gain like almost 100 pounds. Like I am big Michelle. And I sat there and I probably took up more than my seat. My poor mom was squished on her little seat and I sat there like, in so much pain because I was like in active labor. I was not in the best mood because I was like, my fear was coming out. And I was like, am I going to deliver this baby on this airplane? On a commercial flight right now? Like, what am I doing? But I wanted to be home. And it was selfish of me, but I wanted to be home so, so badly. And, I made it off that flight. I made it. And I remember the relief that I felt when the plane landed and then they met me at the stairs with the wheelchair. And I could still remember the tears streaming down my face, entering those double doors and getting into the Yellowknife airport and seeing you and Juliet and be like, I did it. Like I did it. Because that labor... Those contracts, that sucked. That was so painful. That was like my first real test with like mental resilience, was getting through the pain for 7 weeks of labor.
Not knowing like when the like finish line is or like what brutal. The finish line even looks like. It's like a daily, hourly thing that you have to deal with. It was brutal.
So I was home. We got to set up the Christmas tree. It was the end of November. This is in 2018. And we were just so thrilled. We were just so happy. My mom was like, I'm just going to stay with you guys, until the birth, and help take care of Juliet so Ty can be with you. And I was so grateful she did that. And so what I will share that we had found out during our ultrasounds with Adeline, during our anatomy scan, and while we were in Edmonton, I had frequent scans. Adeline was going to be born with 3 separate kidney-related abnormalities. And we knew that when she was born that they were going to have to send us back to Edmonton, Alberta to meet with a specialist who we did get to meet with when I was living there for 7 weeks, and run some tests and ultrasounds and procedures to see what her
plan's going to be,
what her life is going to be like. And so Adeline was born, I think it was like 2 days later after getting settled in Yellowknife. She came, and she was her longest pregnancy. She was born at 37 weeks, 4 days. And I dreamed of a VBAC. I dreamed of a vaginal delivery because with Gabriel, I got to have that with him, but I didn't get the feeling of your baby being pulled to your chest and being like, I did this. With Juliet, we had a C-section, which was emergency C-section. She was breech. They took her right away. I dreamed of that moment. And we worked with the ROB and said, yeah, I think you could do a VBAC. I think we can safely do this. And we did it. We did it. She came so fast. I think I labored for 2 hours. It was once that ball started rolling, she was rolling quick. Yeah. And she was pulled to my chest. And it was it was the most incredible feeling in the world. It was amazing. And then she was settled with us. You were exhausted. You were so tired from that labor. Tired. All the pictures we have after her birth is of you sleeping. Your head is on the bed asleep, and I'm there cheese, smiling, and you were just so tired. It was the middle of the night, and it was just, I kept being like, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Yeah, I remember that.
But Adeline's journey has taught me many things, and she is a very resilient child. Adeline was our longest NICU baby. She battled with blood sugar related issues for many months. And it was, my heart was in 2 places at once again. I have Juliet, who's at home, that I'm now at home in Yellowknife. But I have this baby in the NICU that needed me. And that was so hard. It was so hard. So Adeline was only actually in the hospital for 3 weeks. We got out right before Christmas. And what they had figured out was I need to feed her every 2 hours?
I can't
2.5,
remember.
I think. By max, no later than 3.
Yeah, that's
or her blood sugars would drop, and we'd be in critical, which we were in critical many. It was very scary. There was many times that she was in critical, but we ended up being able to go home, and I just had to nurse her round the clock all the time. So it was exhausting. It was very, very challenging, but I was very passionate about nursing. I nursed Juliet for 2 years until I started my fertility meds. With Adeline, that was kind of our plan. Nurse her for as long as you can, and so. It was wild with her. It was wild. We ended up going back to PEI for Christmas. We got the approval when she was 2 weeks old that we could fly back. She was 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old. Yep. We just got to the NICU. She was only home for a few days in Yellowknife, and they thought we were crazy, but they were like, no, we support you.
Yep.
And people probably think I'm crazy for taking a newborn all the way across Canada, but we wanted to do it, and we did it. And it worked, and it was an amazing, amazing time home with our families. And your mom and dad got, to meet her, and my dad got to meet her, my sister, and it was amazing. But our road with Adeline only continued, and it still continues. When she was 6 months, she had her first seizure. We call it a whoopsie. In my arms, and I was home alone, and there's no 911 in Yellowknife at the time, and it was very scary trying to navigate that when you have a lifeless child in your arms. And that was a day, I remember calling your school and talking to your principal and saying Ty has to come to the hospital right away. And I remember the ambulance coming, and they went the wrong way, and I could hear their sirens, and I'm looking at her lifeless body, and it was so much trauma, so much trauma. So the amount of trauma that we have had through her pregnancy, labor and delivery to having her is like, in and of itself, I think enough to crush a family.
A lot, yeah.
But yet for us, it was like, here we go again.
Par for the course.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Here we go again. So I spent a great deal of time with Adeline in hospital throughout her whole life, but that first year, on and off quite a bit with lots of different tests and lots of different things. In the end, neurology cleared her, and we looked at it as potentially breath holding spells. We still don't know what it was.
No factor at this point, though.
No, it's non-factor, exactly. But it happened multiple times, and the doctor had happened in their arms once, and they were the ones that were like, this is a seizure.
Yeah.
But in the end, we think it was breath hold. We don't even know. We think breath holding, but we call them whoopsies, and she's never had them ever again, and we're so grateful for that. But she has had multiple surgeries, multiple sedative procedures, and she's the one who teaches me how to put on a happy face walking through those hospital doors. I learned from her. Yeah.
Great sleeper, too.
She's a good sleeper. We tell her that every day. We're like, Adeline, you were our best sleeper, girl. Yeah, you're the best sleeper in this family. Yeah, she's the MVP with that for sure. She's amazing. We had to pause there.
Yes.
My nose was running profusely.
Yes.
So I had to get a little tissue there. But yeah, what I think the moral of Adeline's story is we went through really hard shit.
Yep.
She was worth every heartache,
Oh, yeah.
everything. Like, this kid has taught us so much and continues to teach us so much, and we unfortunately are still in the thick of it with her.
It's all training, though. Like, it literally is all training. It's
it is
training for our mind, right, and training for our spirit. Like, we've been lifting weights with our spirit over and over again, and like I said before, coincidence? I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. I agree. What was amazing is during her pregnancy, though, Dr. Castle, who I had talked about in our last podcast, being the doctor who saved my ovaries during all my surgeries, to helping us through Gabriel's journey and being there with Juliet, she called me in Edmonton, Alberta, because she had heard that I was there in early labor, and it was so amazing to hear her voice. And she says, I'm here rooting for you. If you need anything, like, I'm one phone call away. And I appreciated that phone call so much. But we've dove headfirst into a family life of 4.
Yes.
With 2 take-home babies and Gabriel in heaven. And we raised our children to know they have a brother in heaven. We do his memorial tree every November 24th. Every family photo we put in our blue balloon. And they just grew up knowing that they have a brother in heaven. So we were so happy. We were so settled. On the weekends, we would have what's called frappies. Our friends would come over, or we'd go to their home, we'd rotate. They all had children around the same ages, which was amazing, especially Adeline. Like, we had Mary Kate and Haven, like the same ages for her. And we would just have frappies, which was Friday night appetizers.
Things were getting so settled. Like, I had what I would consider my dream job. We had our 2 kids, healthy, safe and sound at home.
Healthy.
Healthy.
But to us, she was healthy.
That's right. Your working situation was not yet starting because we were still on mat leave with Adeline. So, like, things are like, oh, big sigh of relief. Like, everything is going to be like, just set it and forget it, and now we can really start making hay. You know what I mean? And just really, trying to squeeze as much out of this life as we possibly can. We did all the hard stuff. We've been through all of those, like, ups and downs. Now it's time to just, like, settle into this, like, new home that we just got, and this new family that we're trying to raise, and this amazing atmosphere that we
loved it.
We finally made it into, and everything was going to be perfect from then on.
Yeah. We loved it. We literally, it was until it wasn't.
It was
amazing. We had an awesome life. We had an awesome life there.
Yes, we did.
And we felt settled. Everything was going well. Because Adeline was born, I was able to call PEI government and be like, hey, I'm on maternity leave now. So I was able to buy myself another year, because we were still navigating, like, is this where we want to raise our children? Do we want our children to go to the education program through the Northwest Territories education stream? Like, we were still navigating all of this.
Yeah, there was conversations to have there. Like, I would have said, like, yes, absolutely. But there was lots of things to consider along with all of that stuff.
Totally. So again, after Adeline was born, that pain that I had was still there, and I would go for ultrasounds, blood work again, pristine, perfect. I ended up switching career roles. Once Adeline's maternity leave was over, I did not go back to my last job as a school counselor. And I ended up getting a job with the Northwest Territories government in the foster care and adoption field, which I had dabbled in foster care and adoption in PEI when I was a social worker. And I was like, okay, I'm going to help create this program that was very lacking in the North. They didn't have like a structured policy program. And I'm going to bring the knowledge that I have from PEI and try to support here. So my background in social work was, I specialized in child welfare, but that I did a special focus in Indigenous, preserving identity in children in care who are Indigenous. And so I felt like I wanted to help and support Indigenous children in foster homes. And I loved my job, but it was
Challenging?
very challenging. It was very long hours. It was working all the time. COVID hit, and it was very sad and scary time in the North. Very hard. During our time living there, we flew home every like 3 months to go back to PEI. Juliet logged so many miles. Like I think she was on over 100 flights by the time she was 5. Like it was a lot. We would always come back for summers on PEI, for Christmas on PEI, and on March break we would
Meet up
with our families somewhere. So it was a lot that way, but we loved it. Like that was fun. I think when I tell people that after Adeline's labor and delivery experience, that we decided to move forward and have another child, people think I'm crazy. And I know I am crazy. I 100%. I'm crazy in love with my children. And my heart was open to more. And I think if I didn't get diagnosed with cancer, we would have kept going. We would have had more children.
Possibly.
But we made the decision that we were going to try again. Yeah. And we made our doctor's appointment. And unfortunately, my cocktail of drugs that I was on was discontinued. And they were like, this drug is no longer in Canada. And I was like, well, that's a problem. We need to find this drug.
Need it.
And they said, well, why don't you try this other drug? Combined with like the metformin and all of that, because I also was diagnosed with PCOS, and so I wouldn't ovulate on my own, so I'd have to take meds to ovulate and induce a period and all that fun stuff. And so we tried those drugs, 3 rounds of it, and it didn't work. And then I was like, oh my goodness, like we're losing our opportunity, like we have to find this drug. And it was our friend Tom. He was a pharmacist, and I was like, can you call every pharmacy in Canada, like find like boxes, like somebody's got to have them like stored on a random shelf somewhere in the world, please. And he was amazing, and that's what he did. He found some in like Manitoba or something. He traded or something. I don't know how the pharmacy world works, but he found, was it only 2 rounds, I think?
Something like that,
Yeah, he found 2 rounds. And
the last 2 rounds in the country.
And that's what it was.
Pressure.
Like, no pressure, right? And I remember kind of having those conversations with you being like, if these don't work, then like this is kind of what? This is it. Like I don't think we would go through IVF. I don't think we would go to the next level, because we were very happy with our family of 2 take-home babies. And thankfully I got pregnant on the last round. The first one didn't work, and the second one it did work. So we were so overjoyed. We were thrilled. But I think I need to kind of back up before that happened. And share how that pain had gotten much worse one day. And I went to the emergency room to be like, somebody's got to figure this out. Like,
what's going on here?
What is this pain here? I've had it at this point now for almost 4 years. But it would come and go. Like it'd only be there for like a day or 2, and then it'd be gone for like a month. So I thought like, Am I constipated? Where am I out of my cycle? You know, if I was
Yep.
having one, which I wasn't having one unless I was induced to have one. Was I drinking enough water? Was it stress from work? Because I lived a very stressful life back then.
Yep.
Like, why is this pain coming and going? And so when I went to the emergency room, we did all the blood work. Blood work all came back amazing again.
Yep.
But they said the way I described the pain, it had escalated now to being when I took a deep breath, it hurt to breathe. Like I had to breathe differently. I had to take short breaths because I couldn't get that full inhale in, but it wasn't all the time. It was just during certain periods. Yep. And they're like, well, why don't we do a CT of your chest? Because it sounded to them, the symptoms I was describing was pulmonary embolisms, blood clots in my lungs based on how I couldn't breathe that day in particular. That was the first time I experienced the take my breath
Couldn't
away
get a good breath,
situation. So I had that CT and we met with a doctor and they said like, no, like there's no pulmonary embolisms here, but we did find some nodules on your lungs. And we were like,
What's that?
oh my goodness, like what is that?
What's
like,
a nodule?
And what's a nodule? Like, oh no, like your blood work's amazing. Like it's nothing. Lots of people have these, you know, it could be scarring. You're an asthmatic. It could be just scar tissue. You could have been born with them. We're like, well, could it be cancer? Like, is nodules cancer? Like, are these tumors? And the ER doctor was like, absolutely not. Like there's no way. And we were like, okay, we were supposed to start a fertility drugs. I think it was like in 2 weeks. Like we were lining up my cycle to be able to do that. And she was like, you know, it's up to you. Like you're dealing with this breathing thing. You might want to wait or like, what's your plan here? But she said, there's no reason why you can't continue to have a baby. Like on paper, you're a specimen of health.
Yeah, give her.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And we left there and I did get better, I think by the next day or the day after that. Like I started to be able to breathe a little better and things, it was gone. But we didn't just settle with that. I was like, if we're going to bring in another child to this world, like we need to like double check, triple check and get like second opinions on what these nodules are. So we made a appointment with our primary care doctor. They again said the same thing. Like, no, you're totally okay. This is nothing. Then we went to a third doctor because again, something just kept pulling at me to check again. And they reassured that it was absolutely nothing. So I think we waited a few months before we actually did start our next rounds to make sure that I was okay. And we got pregnant on that second round, thankfully. And his pregnancy was great. Like it was very uneventful. It was a wonderful pregnancy. And Adeline was 2. Juliet was 4, turning 5. And we were told that Adeline had to have her first like major surgery. This was her first big one. And we were able to do it in Halifax at the IWK because it was close to summer. And we always lived at our cottage in PEI for the summer. So we thought, why doesn't our family just all relocate to PEI for 2.5 months to do Adeline's surgery? Because she was going to have 2 surgeries. And we were going to be in the hospital for a bit. So we thought, you know what? Let's do that. We took our cats, hopped on an airplane, packed a bunch of suitcases, and moved our whole family to PEI for the summer.
Never to live in Yellowknife again. Dun, dun, dun.
We never returned, friends. I was 30 weeks pregnant with Hatton, and I was like terrified to hop on that airplane at 30 weeks, being like, here I am again. Like last time I was 30 weeks pregnant on an airplane, I was in labor in a medevac plane, but the 4 of us and our 2 cats hopped on that airplane.
It was a big mission, but I think we just looked at it to be like, no problem. We can do this. We've done this before.
Oh,
like not this specifically, but
it was no big deal.
We're used to missions. No big deal. This is gonna be great.
We didn't think anything of it. We just thought Adeline's gonna have this surgery.
You're gonna have the baby. Then we're gonna go back to Yellowknife and like
Life's
just arrive back at the house like bosses, like with our family.
Life is gonna be great.
Yeah.
It didn't go that way. We arrived back home to PEI. It was COVID times. We had to isolate
for a week, was it, or 2 weeks?
2 weeks. And I'm going to say it was day 6. Day 6 or 7. We're 1 week in. I wake up in the morning. I stand up. You probably don't remember what I'm going to say, do you?
Nope.
And there was blood running down my legs. And I yelled. And I was like, oh my goodness. like, I'm 30 weeks pregnant at this point, 31, I
Yeah.
think. You're not supposed to have blood running down your legs.
No.
And I was like, what is happening? We were isolating, so I had to call the hospital to be like, am I even allowed to go there? Like, what do I do? And they're like, yep, you can come, but nobody can come with you. So I drove myself to the hospital. You stayed back with Adeline and Juliet by yourself and the 2 cats at the cottage. I drove to the hospital, and they met me at the front doors in hazmat suits. Like, treated me like an alien. Like I was an infected specimen.
Yep.
And I get out of my car, I walk in, and they immediately put a gown on me and a mask. And the North didn't even have COVID. Like, that was the other thing. Like, the
Yeah.
North did so well during
Yeah,
COVID.
there was like 1 or 2 cases at the time or
Yeah,
something.
like the North did so well, but we did fly across Canada.
Yeah.
Like, that was a risk. And I just kept saying, like, I don't have symptoms. Like, I don't have symptoms. I'm just bleeding during my pregnancy. And I remember meeting with a doctor, going through everything, and they couldn't find the reason for the bleeding, but it had stopped by the time I got to the hospital. They ran tests, everything came back great. And I just shared with them, like, I've had a stillbirth before. I've had a late miscarriage before. I've had 2 very traumatic pregnancies and births. I need you to be sure that this is okay. And they were like, no, you're good. You're good. You can go back home now. So I drove back to the cottage. Bleeding never came back that week. We finished our isolation. We hopped in the car and we had to drive to Halifax, 4-hour drive away, different province, to have Adeline's first big surgery. That went really well. She did great. We returned back to PEI for her recovery after a week or something like that. And I started bleeding again. And that was like the start of all of the hiccups with that pregnancy. I was around 33 weeks, I think it was. And they kept me overnight that time. And they did ultrasounds. And they were like, we don't know why you're bleeding, but we're going to keep you here. They ended up doing the lung shots for him at that point, just to prepare in case the bleeding wasn't going to stop. And I got to go home after a couple of days, and it was really hard leaving Adeline when I'm the mom and I'm supposed to take care of my daughter who was healing from this really big surgery, and trying to give attention to our now 5-year-old who has been like watching mom in and out of hospital, leave and care for Adeline, who always kind of gets mom's attention because she's been admitted so many times in her little life. And it was like, okay, here we go. So I got home, and I was only home for a few days. And the bleeding just kept coming back. So I couldn't go with Adeline for her second surgery. You ended up doing that on your own. And that was really hard for me.
I bet.
Yeah. You did amazing. You did.
Yeah, it was all right.
My stomach's growling. I wonder if you can hear that. But I think the last straw was I woke up one day, we were at my mom's house, and I was feeling really defeated because I was so tired of this random bleeding that just kept happening and no one knew why. And I went to the bathroom, and I remember yelling for you guys, and I had passed a clot that was the size of like, it was like a softball. And I was like, this is not normal. I remember like we took a picture of it, and we went right to the hospital, and they were like, you're not going anywhere. And I was like, good. Like, this baby has to come out now. So we don't know what that was at this time, like what that clot was or the reason why, but we were really lucky that day because when we got to the hospital, it was Dr. Castle, the doctor who had been with us through everything, was working. And again, she wasn't just working that day.
She was placed.
She was placed there. And she did a cervix check, and she's like, oh, actually, you're in labor. So I remember being like, yes, like this is actually going to happen. Like, for sure, this is happening now. And she, while she was doing a cervix check, she thought she felt something. and of concern, and she wanted us to have an urgent ultrasound before I would experience my full labor. I was going to do a VBAC again, was the hope and the plan. And she sent us for an ultrasound. And we did the ultrasound. Things were looking great. Things were fine. And we came back and we reviewed the results. And she goes, I'm really happy it wasn't what I thought it was, because if it was, we would have been headed right for the OR for an emergency C-section, because I thought it was a condition called vasa previa. And I can't remember what it was that she thought she felt. I can't remember what that was with that condition. But anyways, she said, you just lay here, continue to labor, and I'll be back when it's time. Like, we're going to do this. And you were tired again. Labor is always so hard on you that they found you a little room to go have a sleep. I swear, he's a lovely person. It makes me feel like I
don't think I asked for that. I think they told me to.
Yeah.
I think I was voluntold in that.
Because it was going to be a long night.
But I accepted rapidly.
It was going to be a long night.
Yeah.
Because I was only like 5 centimeters dilated or something. Mm-hmm. So you go and have a sleep. I'm in the bed, getting all cozy, being like, okay, I'm going to be laboring for a little bit. But I didn't care. I was like, I'm finally here. Like,
I'm safe. I'm safe. Cared for. It's going to be okay.
Baby's hooked up to a monitor. Like, this baby's coming out. Like, this is exciting for me.
Yep.
And then I felt my water break, and I felt like the gush, and I was just like I remember,
here we go,
like,
yeah.
woo, like, oh my gosh, this is finally happening. Like, they will 100% not send me home, because I felt like a part of me was still like, what if the labor stops? I'm going home, and I have to continue in this pregnancy that is just not going well.
Mysteries,
and I wasn't even worried that I was only 34 weeks pregnant. I was almost 35 weeks. Like, I wasn't even worried about that. I was just so focused on getting this baby out. So I ring the buzzer to tell the nurses that my water broke. I ring it, and the nurse walks in, and I'm like smiling, like so happy. And I'll never forget Trina's face. Mm-hmm. And it was like a look of like, oh my goodness. And then I looked down, and I was bleeding. I was hemorrhaging. It was not my water at all. Mm. And then the pain hit. Like, once the excitement was over of like, oh my goodness, this is not my water, then it was the pain had started. And they were calling for the doctors calling for an assist of other doctors, and they're waking you up, you're coming in, and they moved so fast, so unbelievably fast. And I was immediately brought into the OR. And my placenta ruptured. And in the end, I had that undetected vasa previa, which is one of the most deadliest pregnancy conditions you could have. And if I would have continued to VBAC, Hatton would not have made it. Mm-hmm. And I would not have made it if I was at home with my hemorrhage, with my placenta rupture. So Hatton came out 35 weeks screaming. He was ripped from my belly, screaming. He was a big boy. He was like 7 pounds, 2 ounces.
Big fella.
He was big fella. That's what we call him, big fella. He was ready for this world. Mm-hmm. Dr. Castle was there. And I remember, like, he had to go to the NICU. You took him. I got to still see him, though. I got to kiss him, and we got a picture. And then you guys went off to the NICU. And Dr. Castle was with me. And she saved my life. And she saved Hatton's life. And I remember just looking at her and looking at the floor and the blood everywhere. And I was like, how do you thank somebody for saving your life, but also gifting me life? She is the reason that I have all of these take-home babies. She is the reason that I am leaving that OR alive.
Strange, you can really think about legacy, eh? And a lot of people think of legacy as this selfish thing. They're like, it's time to stamp my legacy and, have my lineage, like, propagate our name across the nation and all that kind of wacky stuff. But there's going to be generations, hopefully, generations down our line that would not exist if it were not for that woman.
She's amazing.
And there's Dr. Castles throughout history, right? that have allowed people to grow their family, for their family to exist even, right? And like, you really think about like, that's a massive responsibility, huge job, like bringing a family into existence and allowing their value systems and their structures and everything else to propagate through years and generations. Like it's like, that's important work. Yeah. That's incredible.
She changed
and
her
for
life.
for her to just to be there for you when you're a teenager, and then decade and a half pass by, and for her to be there at the end to solidify that legacy or your family. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I don't know about that. You know? Like,
that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So she even walked me out of the OR. She stayed with me until they brought me to recovery. And I went to recovery. You were in the NICU with him. He did really well. He did good. He was great. He was, I think, our shortest NICU baby. And we were only there with him for like, I think 7 days in the end.
Pretty quick.
And I feel like when we finally got home, oh, I think another part of the story that's pretty cool was I remember the next day, Heather walks in the door. So Heather is my friend who lived in Yellowknife, who was there with me through Adeline's.
Called the medevac.
Called the medevac, got your flight booked. She had actually moved to PEI that 2 years after that. And she was working labor and delivery at the hospital where Hatton was born, and came in and sat at my bedside, and she was bawling because she had heard the vasoprevia, had heard about the placenta eruption. She was just like, I shouldn't be crying right now, but she shared with me like how unbelievably,
no idea how lucky you are.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm happy she did that, because it has given me so much gratitude, because I didn't really get it. I was just like, oh, it's fine, like, we're here. But it was like, no, like, you need to stop and pause. This is a miracle that you are here. So we get out of the hospital, and I remember being like, okay, we're a family of 5 at the cottage. Our summer can finally begin. Like, where is our version of boring? Like, let's just find boring, and like, let's not do anything ever again, because this whole life has been a freaking hiccup. We are
done with this.
Like, we are done with the chaos.
It's over. We have a boy now.
Yeah.
3 kids. Like, our family is complete.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
We made it. We've made it.
We did not. We did not make it. I was only home from the hospital for about probably like 2 or 3 days after Hatton's. Yeah, it was July 28th, 2021. Hatton was born July 14th. It was July 28th. We landed at the emergency room because I thought I was having a gallbladder attack. And like, it felt like that pain that I used to always get all the time, but it felt like intense. Like, it was like intensified.
That's what made it seem more like it was gallbladder, because like, pregnancy,
and
baby just came,
yes.
Gotta be gallbladder.
And my sister landed in the hospital after her.
Same deal, yeah.
I'm like, she had to have surgery right away. Like, it's totally gallbladder. So anyways, we went ahead and went to the ER, and they did another ultrasound, and the ultrasound showed a hemangioma, but it was bigger. And they were like, this is interesting. And I said, I've been having this hemangioma since my daughter was born 5 years ago. And I get it routine scanned all the time. I don't know what's going on. Then we told him about the lung nodules that the other doctor said. And he also reassured, like, oh, that's typically nothing. I don't think that's at play here, but why don't we schedule you for a CT scan? A full, like, abdominal chest CT scan to get a really good look before you head back to Yellowknife. And we loved that plan. We were like, okay, that's good. We left the hospital knowing that I would be having this scan within the next 2 weeks, because we only had about 3 weeks left of summer in PEI. And I remember the pain went away like a couple days later. I was nursing around the clock with Hatton, still caring for Adeline, who had just recovered from her second surgery. And I was soaked in sweat. The night sweats were like, do you remember how soaked I was?
Yep.
Like, I would take towels and just wipe myself, all, like my chest, my head, my face. Like, I was pooling sweat when I would sleep. And I just thought it was hormones. And I remember being like, we spent this whole summer in hospitals, whether it was me or with Adeline or with Nikki, with Hatton. Let's try to chase a little joy. Let's try to have a little bit of fun, because we then had this 5-year-old that had the summer of like, what is happening to my life? So I remember we went to like Marco Polo Land, and it's like a campground that had like a water park. And yes, I was recovering from a C-section, but I just wanted to have a little fun with our family. And I was feeling great. I recovered so quickly from that C-section. And we just had a lot of fun. And I think it was the next day, Adeline ended up at hospital with a complication from her surgery, meeting with Dr. McGinn for the first time. And I looked like a hot mess express of a mom. I have a newborn, I have a 2-year-old, and myself show up at the ER, like panicking because she's having this hiccup from her surgery. They bring us right in, confirm that she's going to be okay. And I remember being like, oh my goodness, like
that was close.
That was a close one. Like I was really nervous that something was going to come there. Go back to the cottage. The very next morning I wake up and I felt totally off. And I remember asking my sister to come into the cottage because she lives with us there too full time, and said, can you watch Hatton for a little bit? I'm going to go have a shower and I'm just feeling really different. And I went in the shower, and as I was in there and the hot water was on me, I felt really faint, and I thought, this is probably the worst place that I should be right now, feeling in this state. So I got out of the shower and I started walking towards the living room where everybody was, and I had collapsed. And I got onto the bed, and I remember, or the couch, I remember my rigors, like I was violently shaking, and I couldn't communicate what was happening in my body, but that pain that I had in my abdomen just started to be whole body. Like I just felt my whole body shutting down, and I didn't know what was happening. You came in, and I think you guys called my dad, who lives like up the lane from the cottage, and you guys were all like, what do we do? Like, do we call 911? Do we just throw her in the car? Like, what do we do? And you couldn't figure out what was going on. I started throwing up, I think, and I was just like out of it. And the next thing I know, like you like plunk me in the car. And I think I came to at like gases, and I was like, where's my baby? I have to nurse my baby. And you were like, Michelle, for the first time in your life, like, you come first right now. He is not here. There is pumped milk in the fridge. Like, you are fine. Like, he's fine. Like, you are not fine. And we get into the ER, and my heart rate was what? Like 180 or something, like crazy. And they worked so fast and brought me to the trauma room. And within like a half an hour, I was in a full body CT, trying to figure out what was happening in my body. My bloods were all a mess. Everything was chaos. And the doctor came in and he looked at us and he said, I have no idea what I just saw, but I see innumerable lung tumors. And at that point, he said 15 liver cysts. And I was like, how? I had just had an ultrasound 10 days prior, and there was one hemangioma on my liver. And he said, I have no idea, but we're going to find out. And I remember looking at him being like, can I have my baby? Because I'm mom. That's what I do. My son was going to need to eat, and I wanted to nurse him. Like, I wanted to be with him and take care of him. And at this point, my sister was basically full-time mom to Juliet and to Adeline. Like, I needed at least one of my children to get through what was happening. And you left the hospital and you went and you got him. So that was the start of this crazy journey to just live. So nobody actually said the words cancer for a really long time. I was admitted into hospital, scheduled for multiple tests from that moment on, had to have an MRI to get a better look at the liver to see what these liver cysts were, because the doctors truly thought it was like an infection. My white blood count was funny. I did have that, C-section. They also thought they were, it starts with A, liver adenomas?
Edemas?
Edemas, something like that. I don't know what the word is, but they thought they were just liver cysts, like an infection. Like we called them my pus balls.
Yes,
We kept being like, oh, I got pus balls. They're always like, how are you doing? Oh, just growing some pus balls. Like, I'll be fine. And our worst case scenario was I was going to get a PICC line and deal with a massive infection for several months. That was our worst case scenario. We were devastated about that. And they allowed Hatton to stay with me in the hospital. I got to care for him because I was tired, I was weak, but I was like okay. Like I was able to care for him, and the nurses were there.
You had bounced back a little bit from that big episode at the cottage when you kind of collapsed.
I did.
Bounced back, like probably not as much as you did in previous years, but at least it wasn't. You're like, okay, whoa, that was quite an episode, but like we're back here now. I'm just kind of fatigued mom.
Totally, and they put me back with labor and delivery. So like I had just been with them like 2 weeks prior to this. So we ended up, they said, we're going to need to get a biopsy of whatever, is on your liver. And we can't do that here in PEI. You're going to have to go to Moncton, New Brunswick to get this done. And all we kept thinking about was our flight is leaving to go back home, our home. Like this was just our summer vacation. Our flight is going back home where we all belong in a few days. You have to go back to work. Like school was starting. Students were going back to school. You're a teacher. You had to get prepared, get your classroom ready. Like this was not supposed to be happening. And it was also still COVID times. And so they said, you have to go and do your biopsy by yourself. Nobody can go with you. And that was so frustrating to me because I needed you because you were my rock. But I also wanted to be able to nurse my son. Like he was a preemie. Like he was a baby that had to eat around the clock to help him continue to grow and thrive. And they said, I'm sorry. So they gave me a breast pump from the hospital, put that on my stretcher, and the ambulance took me over to Moncton, New Brunswick by myself. And I remember getting settled for the biopsy. They were like, it's gonna be a quick day procedure. And I looked at the paramedics and I was like, don't you leave me here. I'm going back home. And they laughed at me and they said, well, we might have to get another call, but somebody will be here to get you. And I was like, I'm going home. I don't know why I said that, but I did. And I FaceTime with you guys a bunch. They called me to go in for my biopsy. I did my biopsy because I was nursing. I refused all pain meds and it was painful. Go back into recovery. And I told the nurse, like, yes, I'm in pain, but I can handle it. Like, it's okay. But then the pain continued to escalate and she just kept saying like, it's because you didn't take pain meds. Like the offer is still here. Like if you want to do this. And there I was pumping my milk, like trying to control a situation where I was losing control in everything in my life. And that's what I had fixated on. Like I am focusing on nursing my son. This is what's going to get me through this. I'm going to provide milk for him. This is my job on this earth is I am mom. And the pain got so bad. And I said to her, like, this pain is horrendous. And she just kept saying, it's okay, it's okay. And within, I think, 1 minute after that, the same thing happened where I kind of collapsed, violent rigors. I was shaking profusely and pain just went across my whole body. And when I came to, I remember the hospital lights above my head and they were rushing me. I didn't know where they were rushing me to. And they put me through a CT machine. And I can remember hearing the doctor yelling, I found it, like screaming, I found it. And I was internally bleeding where the biopsy site was. And they said, rush her to the ICU. And I remember being like, what is my life? Like, what is happening? You had no idea. My family is in another province an hour and a half away, thinking I'm just recovering from this simple biopsy that they explained it was just going to be a standard simple biopsy for an infection. I remember seeing my cell phone on my purse at the end of my bed, and I don't know how I did it, but I grabbed it and I said, Siri, call Ty. And that nurse came over to me and she just apologized. She said, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you. And I said, it's not that you didn't believe me. You didn't know. We didn't know. That's okay. And she had asked me if she could do Reiki. And I said, of course. I felt more bad for her. But I got settled in the ICU and we called you guys and you guys came over and my sister continued to care for Juliet and Adeline and Hatton came, and my mom came, you and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wild ride.
Yeah, as they say, the rest is history, eh?
So your parents came over to come get you after a couple days of being there, because I got out of the ICU. And I got back in a regular unit. And we realized as a married couple that our kids needed you too. They couldn't lose both parents to this chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my mom and I had Hatton. So your parents came and got you and took you back to PEI so you could be dad to the girls. Mm-hmm. And I continued to undergo a bunch of tests. I did colonoscopy and endoscopy. And because I was crazy, I refused pain meds. The endoscopy was not enjoyable, having the tube go down. And he said, you can get it, you can do it. I'll work as fast as I can. I'm just going in there to see if there's any metastases. And that was the first time we heard that word. It's the first time cancer was potentially on the table, because having this internal bleeding from a biopsy that should be fine was a red flag for them. And the endoscopy came back fine. The next day we said we're going to do a colonoscopy, and I was like, can I do that with no pain meds? Like, is that a thing? And for those of you who do not know colonoscopy, that is a tube up your butt. And they were like, we have people do it. It is tough. It is up to you. And I was so, again, determined to continue to nurse him that I was like, bring it on. I got this. I did not have it. I did not. The tube went in, and I was like, I need sedation. Like, who do I think I am? And I think I got like 1/3 or half of the amount. And I think it allowed me to nurse again in 8 hours or something like that. But note to you friends, always accept the sedation, get fully put out, do not experience that pain. It is horrendous. So anyways, all those tests came back great. Like, we were feeling good about it. We were thinking again, like, maybe this infection is back on the line. But in the end, August 20th, 2021, the doctor walked in the room. My mom was with me. I was holding Hatton. We tried calling you on the phone so you could be on the phone, but you were busy being dad. And the doctor said, I'm so sorry. He said, you have stage 4 cancer. And the first question out of my mom's mouth was, how long does she have? And I just looked at him, and he said, I don't know, because I've never heard of this cancer before. And I said, well, that's reassuring. And I just said, all I want to be is a mom. I worked so hard to get to this place to be a mom. And I just saw it all going away. And he said, I don't even know how to pronounce it. He called it EHE, which is the short version of epithelioid hematoendothelioma. And he said it's a sarcoma and it's ultra rare. And I'm going to call my colleagues around the world, and we're going to figure out what we do with you. And I called you on the phone. Do you remember that phone call?
No, I'm really good at blocking trauma.
You are.
It's almost like I just white out parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You block, I use pain as power. I remember almost all of it. That is what fuels me. That is what is in my soul to be the reason why I do what I do. And when I exercise, all of that is very real in my world. And then when I'm done exercising, silence. Pain is power.
I hope so.
I'm pretty damn powerful. Have you seen me lately?
Yes, no, I
So
mean,
jacked.
no, just the amount of pain that we've had to go through.
We sure have. It has been a ride, and that is just bringing you guys to my diagnosis. And I think that's where we'll end. And next time we'll pick up what it was like leaving that hospital knowing that I have stage 4 cancer that nobody knows about.
Mm-hmm.
And then how our journey with faith solidified even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was lots of like offshoots of journeys that came from that, obviously.
And we missed our flight back home to Yellowknife.
Yeah.
We missed it.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
We did move back to Yellowknife.
Spoiler alert, I was laying in the ICU bed when that happened. And you were on the phone with WestJet while I was laying in the ICU bed. I remember that. We were on hold for so long and we were just trying to postpone our flights.
Yeah, scrounging, like.
And I don't think we ended up getting a hold of them. And
I mean, we can talk about that more next time, but I think that's so it's very effective for me to ignore and white things out, except when things like are unavoidable. Like I can avoid and ignore things as much as I want to, but then when reality sets in and you're not actually getting what your expectation is, then your perception of your life can fall apart, and then you can really fall down really low. And that happened to me.
really bad.
In a bad way. And I'm still dealing with that.
That was a rough time for you, Ty.
Yeah, really rough. Well, it was more acute, like it was more apparent at that time.
Yeah.
But it's like there's still ripples that I deal with every single day. Every single day.
Well, that was a heavy one, folks. Friends, that was, thank you.
Thank you. Lots of fun, always fun.
It was good.
No matter what, always fun.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Ding!